Nobody wants to have to correct a parent, right? Parents should have this internal mechanism that says, my child, my adolescent, or my adult child needs me right now for something, right? Parents are supposed to be, not perfect, but they are supposed to be intuitive and loving and concerned about their children. They're also supposed to be a child's protector. Even an adult child, right? No matter how grown you may feel that you are, no matter how grown that parent wants you to be, the reality is that we still need our parent. I still need mine. So this is something that, is very ingrained into my work. This whole topic of abuse and families and parenting and trauma. And so today I'm going to talk about detached and abusive parents. And this is not a topic I ever want to really talk about, but I think it's important. I'm also going to highlight something known as a high level of expressed emotion. So you're going to learn some new terms in this video. But before we jump in, let me just briefly introduce myself in case you're new to my channel. My name is Skimra. I'm internationally and I'm board certified as a trauma therapist. I'm licensed in mental health. I specialize in treating children, teens, and families, as well as adults for the past 15 years, including, people who are struggling with grief, trauma, and transitions right in my private practice. Let's jump in. Why does this feel so far apart? I've worked with families and children for the past 15 years of my life. I have never been a therapist who works mainly with adults or individuals. It's always been children, teens, families, parents, or, maybe, adults who are dealing with trauma, grief, and loss. But nothing has ever shocked my mind, my heart, as much as the topic of detached parents and abuse. Nobody wants to see a child being abused. Nobody wants to see an adolescent being abused. And no one certainly wants to see an adult being abused. Abuse is the ugliest thing, right? When you start to pick and pull apart the definition and you start to look at the negative impact of what abuse does to individuals, it's an ugly thing to have to deal with. But, we have to talk about abusive parents. And unfortunately, a lot of you who are on my channel, you have experienced having an abusive family, an abusive parent. And it's not easy to live with somebody like this, right? So let me say, for those of you who may not have had an abusive parent, maybe you've had an abusive family member, that having an abusive parent is one of the most difficult things, because we rely 100% on our parents, right? From birth up until we're able to be independent. The last thing that we want to do is need that parent, and yet they snatch the carpet out from under us. I have had parents say in the past to me that they have completely washed their hands of their duty to be parents and they no longer want to parent. And my response is often this: that you don't have the right to determine when you are done parenting, right? Parenting is a hard job. And I think maybe I can say one of the most difficult jobs in the world, right? I think I would rather be the president than to have to raise children sometimes, because the things that come with children can be really overwhelming. That still doesn't give that parent the right to minimize you and to push you in the background and to detach from you and to tell you that they're going to do whatever they want to do because they are done. Since when does a parent get to say that, right? Even if you're an adult child, what right is it for that parent to bring you into the world and then treat you this way, right? You didn't ask to be here. Now you're here because of maybe a poor decision they've made, or maybe you're here because they thought they could handle a child and realize that it's too hard. Whatever the case may be, they don't have the right to wash their hands of you and say, I'm done. Now, there are certain situations where a parent may have to take those measures, right? If you're being abusive towards them, if you're being harmful to them in some way, if you've estranged yourself from the family and there's a lot of dirt and drama and stuff going on in the family dynamic, right? Or maybe that parent just realizes they can't help you. They can't be connected to you like maybe they would have wanted to, right? A lot of parent-child relationships don't always work out, and that's okay. I'm speaking more specifically, I think, about the adult children who have had parents growing up that has abandoned them, right? What right do you have as a parent to abandon your child. There is no way to look at that, right? It's an ugly reality. Now, I did a video. Here's the thumbnail right here, and here's the link up here if you want to go check that out at the end of this video. I did a video a couple years ago regarding parents who simply don't care. And you can almost tell in certain parents, you know, if you're a professional or maybe you're really good with people skills, you know what I mean? Or you understand the dynamics of humans. You can really tell when a parent doesn't want anything to do with the children. And one of the reasons why is because their inability to parent comes across so clearly, right? In what they say and what they do and what they don't do and how they say what they say. I often tell people that I'm supervising, if I'm supervising rising clinicians, if I'm talking to somebody about this, I'll often say there are three things that I look for when I am dealing with a parent who most likely feels that they have the right to abandon their child, even an adult child. The first thing that I look for is verbally, right? I want to hear you tell me, I want my own two ears to hear you tell me that you absolutely do not want anything to do with your child, that you're going to wash your hands of your child and you want to say, you know what, go on with your life because I'm done. The other thing that I look for is behavior. I want to know, does this parent show behaviors that are dismissive? Are they detached? Are they emotionally immature? What is going on here behaviorally? Because sometimes what the mouth isn't saying, the body will tell you, right? So visually looking at that body language. I have actually sat in this chair in many sessions and I've seen parents sit like this away from their children. I've seen parents, sit like this and the child is next to them. And I have also seen parents who roll their eyes as the child is trying to talk to me or give me some kind of viewpoint on something. It is very, apparent behaviorally that a parent is detached and they are distant. The other thing that I look for is their priorities, right? What's the priority here? Is the priority that boyfriend that you want to get to know down the street, or is your priority your child? Is your priority getting yourself mental health treatment so that you don't destroy your children and create a mess of their life because you're not well, right? So I look for, what is that parent's priority? So first thing I look for is, are they verbally telling me something that says they simply don't care? Are they behaviorally showing that they don't care? And what is their priority right now? The family dynamic can be really difficult, right? So let's say you're an adult, okay? And you've dealt with a childhood that's just messy. It's full of mess. It's muddy. It's dramatic. It's unsafe. It's traumatic. Whatever the situation may be. Let's say now you're an adult, right? And you want to know, why was my family so unstable? Well, there's a concept known as high expressed emotion or high level of expressed emotion. And we call it EE. Here it is on the screen here. And here's a definition of what that is. And families that have highly expressed emotions or a high level of expressed emotion, they tend to be rather unstable because everybody in the family system is emotional. Everybody in the family system has an inability to pull themselves together. And if you have an immature and emotionally detached parent, it's very likely that high level of expressed emotion in the family unit just kind of derailed everybody and everything. A parent is not going to be perfect, and a parent is also not going to be strong at all times, but a parent must continue to steer the boat no matter what. And growing up in a family, right, where the dynamic is unhealthy, that parent needs to be trying to steer that boat at all times. Even if they wreck the boat, they are still going to steer it. There are some parents, however, that totally takes their hands off the wheel and they say, I don't care what happens, I'm out of here. And that is not okay. That is not okay. So in a family with a high level of expressed emotion, you're likely to see the following. Now, the first thing that you're likely to see is a parent that is critical, they are hostile, and they are non-tolerant. They are hostile, they are critical, they are non-tolerant. They don't have the ability to pause and pump the brakes and say, I have to do this for my child. They also don't have the ability to get really, really emotional and angry and then calm down to a level of rationality and make things better between them and their child. It's not there. They don't have that ability to do that. You may also notice fragrant and language and disrespect. I'm going to put it that way. The language is awful. I've been in family sessions where the mother curses every 2 seconds, maybe less. The father is using all kind of words that are just disrespectful. The daughters and the sons are using the same amount of terminology that's disrespectful to the therapist, to the parents, to the dynamic. The list goes on. So in a family with a high level of expressed emotion, you're likely to also hear all that profanity, all those ugly words that just come from down beneath the earth, right? And there's this high level of disrespect, right? Nobody is respecting each other's space. Nobody's respecting values. Nobody's respecting morals. Nothing. You're also likely to see emotional over-involvement in a family with a high level of expressed emotion. There may be this clinging on to you, right? Maybe the parent is clingy. Maybe the sibling is clingy. Maybe everybody in the family is codependent. Maybe there's traumatic bonding. There's too much of this, right? And we call that enmeshment, meaning that everybody's emotions, thoughts, and behaviors are so enmeshed, it's hard to tell where they originated. And so in families with a high level of expressed emotion, you are likely to see that over-involvement. And it's really over-involved, right? I once had a case where a father was bathing his 15-year-old daughter. I had to turn it into Child Protective Services. It was inappropriate. And he was literally washing her body. That can be an example, an extreme example of emotional over-involvement. It's simply inappropriate. You might also notice that a parent that is leading a household that has a high level of expressed emotion, you may notice that this kind of parent has psychotic breaks a lot, right? They hear and see things that are not there. They have beliefs that are ingrained and difficult to minimize or difficult to disprove with them because they strongly believe it, right? They may have delusions of grandeur, that they are powerful and wonderful. They may have delusions of jealousy, right? That they are being mistreated somehow, that somebody's having an affair behind their back. They may also have delusions of persecution, that they are being persecuted. Everybody's pointing the fingers at them. Even strangers, they will find somebody that they can say is against them, right? They almost have this victim complex, if you will, right? Everybody's against me, me, me. They may also hear and see things that are not there, feel things on their body that's not there. They may also have a level of psychosis where there's what we call thought disturbance, right? They don't have the ability to process things appropriately. And so thought disturbance could be their thinking is a little jumbled, their cognitive ability is low, they don't remember things or they misremember things, right? They're thinking of things and saying something happened when it did not, right? They may also lose almost a portion of identity, right? Their whole cognitive ability, that whole mental process of existing in a family and in the world may be kind of disrupted, because in a family with EE, right, a high level of expressed emotion, psychosis is likely to happen because nobody really has control of the ship. And the leader of the ship, who is the parent, doesn't have control, and so then the whole ship wrecks. The next thing that you're likely to see is the entire home and the entire family is shook, right? There's a concept known as disequilibrium. Families function on equilibrium, right? Everything has to be balanced. Everything has to be, at the same level, right? Equilibrium. But in families with a high level of expressed emotion, there's a lot of disequilibrium. There's a lot of ups and downs and roller coasters and turning around sharp bends and, trying to block yourself from being hit and hurt, right? There's a lot of disequilibrium. And unfortunately, some families function with disequilibrium. If you put some very toxic, dysfunctional families in stability, they don't know how to handle it. And so they kind of crave that disequilibrium. And sometimes that's the only environment that they want. You may also find that this kind of a parent engages in the blame game, right? You're to blame for A, B, and C. That person over there is to blame. That person over there is to blame. God is to blame. My grandma who I never met, who's passed away, is to blame. There's the blame game. You. And then you're also likely to see the victim complex. Everybody's against me. I'm never good enough. I've messed up my children. I haven't done anything to help them. I've ruined everything, right? And what that does, what the victim complex does to you as maybe the adult child or the young child, is it kind of sucks the energy out of the environment, right? And you can feel very insecure, not safe. You can feel very unloved, right? And very misunderstood. And so all of that energy that the parent is putting into making themselves the victim, all of that energy, should be given to you, right? Even as the adult child. But parents who play the victim card are often those who have a personality disorder of some kind, or they have some kind of mental health challenge or psychosis where they can't recognize how they are impacting you. Check these videos out right here that I did years ago, a couple years ago. This one right here is signs that your parents don't care. That's a really hard video, but a very popular one. And check this one out as well. It's a really tough reality when you're dealing with parents like this, but we're going to continue to talk about it. It's needed. Thank you so much for being with me in today's video. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you want to get more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.